Today on the Untethered podcast, I'm going to be diving a little bit deeper into money blocks. Something I've been talking about a lot lately is the fact that money is not energy. Contrary to popular belief, money is not energy. And as someone who's been in the spiritual spaces, in the conscious communities, in the truth movement, personal development world, there's been a lot of emphasis over the years on money being energy and manifesting your dreams and manifesting $1 million months. And I guess as we're moving into a different age, the veil is lifting and people are starting to see more truth and starting to see the light. But with the light, you also have the darkness. And so all that spiritual woo-woo fluff manifestation, money is energy, like I want to call it out. I want to call it out and say it is bullshit, right? I'm calling bullshit on money and money being energy because it just absolutely is not. And this comes back down to, I guess, the research that I've done over the last 4, 5, 7 years into money, into the economy, and into what we use as trade. And as we're seeing a shift towards, decentralized finance and cryptocurrencies, and this really does give a rise to an opportunity to look at money, to look at wealth, to look at value differently. And this is when the epiphany came from me, like, oh, it was quite a while ago now, and it was like, money's not energy. I was like, oh, yeah, here we go. Let's dive into it. So we might go on a bit of a journey today. I love to go on different tangents, but my intention for this podcast for you is by the end of it to have a completely different outlook on money and your wealth, your value, and just ditch all that manifestation mumbo jumbo. So before we get into it, though, it comes back to when you look at money, it comes back to responsibility, right? Responsibility and accountability. And what I see in some of the spiritual spaces is people taking little to no responsibility for their money blocks. Right? I'll see people post in groups and they're like, oh, I'm blocked with money and I don't know what it is. And, I used to be able to manifest like a mofo, but now it's just not flowing. And, it could be my ancestral lines or a past life or, my parents did it to me. And I get that. Sometimes there are sources, right? There's always a source for a block. There's always a root cause. But if we actually come into the here and now of your money problems and your money struggles and what you're actually going through today, like it's in the now. It's in the here and now. So any of that past stuff, if you are outsourcing your money problems to past or future, you're fragmented. Right? So you have to take responsibility for your money in the here and now. And it's an element of go, okay, I know that I have the capacity to earn more. Or is it, do I have the capacity to earn more or do I have the desire to earn more? And a lot of people do sit in desire. People desire to earn more money, and especially as the economy crumbles and things starting to get really tough out there financially for a lot of families, people are looking at ways to save money. Save money, make money, right? They're the two only options that you have. And I see this responsibility is like people aren't taking accountability for where they are at. It's always because of this bill, because of this scenario, because of this, or if this person hadn't have done this, or this business thing didn't do that, or if this bill didn't come, or if this loan wasn't there, or if this, right? So when we go into that blame or that victim, we're essentially, what we're doing is we're going through an emotional response around past financial decisions. Right now, the responsibility and accountability piece comes when you go, okay, this is my financial reality right now. And we recognize the past. We recognize that mum and dad were poverty, and, we didn't learn money, and school never taught us, and we never learned business properly. But if you look at your whole life until this moment, all of your financial decisions have been decisions that you have made to the best of your capacity, to the best of your ability. So if you're projecting or blaming, or you're in the victim space around your money, and you're pushing it outside of yourself and not taking that accountability, and accountability doesn't condone those past decisions. Accountability is acceptance of those past decisions, right? Accountability is like, I did the absolute best that I possibly could. If it could have been any other way, it would have. And when we have that acceptance, we kind of dissolve some of those past attachments. Because whilst we're having this present emotional cycle based on past decisions, we're forever fragmenting ourselves. So, what you want to do is make peace with the past. Okay. And we want to sever all of those emotional attachments so that in the now moment, we are just looking at now. We are just looking at what you have, who you are, your current capacity, your current value, your current energy. Because money is not energy. You are the energy. And whilst you are making financial decisions with attachments to past traumas or attachments to future anxieties, you were never in the now moment. Right? And it's all about the now. Eckhart Tolle always talks about the now, living in the now. Right? So we have to really sever those ties, right? Because the only way you can transform your money, the only way you can truly remove these money blocks is to come into the present moment and then transform. Because when you're the energy, imagine this, right? So energy flows through your entire being. We have a torus field, right? We're the hollow bone. Right? Energy comes through from source down through our crown, right? Through our entire being, right? Physically, energetically, emotionally, spiritually. Like this energy, it's a current. It moves through us. Currency, right? You are the currency. You have the current moving through you. So what happens is that energy then comes out and it goes around our torus field, and it's like, imagine it's water, right? So our energy is like water, the currency, the energetic waves, right? Which carry a frequency, right? It's continuously moving through you. It never stops. It's like water, right? It's an ever-flowing water of the universe, universal currency, cosmic currency, right? That's you. So we all have different energetic values. We all have different energetic frequencies. And that's going to depend on the waters that are flowing through your field, through your body, right? At the physical level, at the emotional level, at the spiritual level. Right. So whilst this energy is moving through you, this is where we can have some debris. So if you imagine a rock in a river, so what happens to the water when it reaches that rock? Does it go through it or does it go around it? So imagine these blocks, these energetic blocks, these emotional blocks, or these spiritual blocks, they're in you right now. And those blocks have an attachment, and that attachment will be to past, present, or future, right? So if it's the past, it's guilt or shame, right? If it's the present, you could be like not feeling fulfilled, not feeling connected, right? To your mission, to your soul, to your legacy, to yourself, right? Or if it's the future, we're in worry, we're in anxiety, we're in fear. So these attachments and these connections, it's all happening here and now, but it's happening across the entire multiverse, across all space, time, and dimensions. But while you keep feeding those stories and those attachments, you're actually funneling energy out, right? So if you can imagine those blocks, you're then feeding it, right? And that energy is coming out of you, and it's like there's holes, right? And that water is just leaking out because you're giving it time, you're giving it attention. So it's not to say don't give it time or attention, but let's be really smart about it and work out, well, do we need this? Do we need this attention to be going to these spaces? Like, if I'm constantly worried about the future, what am I going to be doing? If I'm feeding that energy out to the future and I'm fear, 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 worry, worry, anxiety, anxiety, and I never have enough, I'm not good enough, right? You're going to be just recreating more of the same, because that's the resonance of the energy and the frequency that you're on by feeding that future version. This frequency that's moving through us, right? You can see like these money blocks. Generally, the emotional response to these money blocks is always fear, scarcity, not enoughness, right? And I've broken it down, but instead of the being the negative, right, it's the positive, right? So the opposite. Because when you're in fear, scarcity, not enoughness, I don't deserve, right, you're in lack. And every single person that I've ever worked with on their money blocks, it always comes down to three things. It's never anything else. It doesn't matter what's going on in your business, in your life, right? In your love life, right? In your health, well-being. Like, it always comes back, like everything's always connected because it's energy, right? And it's self-worth, high self-esteem, and confidence. Those are the three things that are attaching like your values to. And when you're in fear, lack, scarcity, it's because you could have low self-worth, low self-esteem, low confidence, right? But because we keep funneling that energy out, right? And we're leaking those energies. So what we want to do then is look at, how do we transform this? Because it's one thing to be aware of your stories and keep reliving them and recycling, but we want to transform them. And to transform your money blocks, your money stories, you have to go through a transformational process. And this is where my process of prosperity comes in, because the divine wealth code, which is the basis of that oracle deck, is the transformational cycle. Right? There's 7 steps to transformation. So the 7 steps of transformation through the 7 chakras to activate the 8th chakra, your soul star chakra, and then across the 7 pillars of life. All the different well-beings, emotional well-being, mental well-being, physical well-being, spiritual well-being, cosmic well-being. There's 7. So everything is so nuanced, but when you can pinpoint what it is, what area, what block, what place, what well-being, what emotion, past, present, future attachments, that transformational cycle becomes really straightforward. So once we're aware of it, we then understand it deeper. We get to know, like, this is learning who you are. So we become aware, step 1. We understand, step 2. Step 3, we have to surrender. Surrender to all of this, because if you're holding on so tightly to wanting to earn more money, you are never going to earn more money because you're holding on so tightly. It's just repelling it in the opposite direction. We got to surrender and actually let go. This is the art of non-attachment, right? Non-attachment to the past, present, and future, and non-attachment to what wants to be. What wants to be, because what you're conjuring in your mind, right? This is the intuition and the imagination, and this is, your soul is recognizing what you are destined to have, but you're attached to it. So you're holding on so goddamn tightly. We just got to let go. We got to let go, right? Once we then surrender to what is, we can then transmute it. We can shift it. And this is the fun stuff. This is the energy stuff. This is the activations, the transmutations, the codes receiving. This is the spiritual woo-woo that I absolutely love. Like my wealth recalibration. Whew, man, it is a powerful process. And I've done it for years. I absolutely fucking love it. We clear your entire being in a split second. It already is. You're already pure. It's a remembrance of your purity. But once we go through that transmutation, people think we're done. That's it. Babe, we're only halfway there, right? Once you transmute your block, you've now got work to do, right? Because it's like you've purified your being, right? We've looked at our attachments, our past, our present, our future, our emotional. We're looking at our frequencies, right? And we're looking at our waves. We're looking how we resonate. We're looking at all these things. After you transmute is the most vital time, right? This is integration, right? But nobody really speaks to integration in the embodiment sense, because what I see happen is once you've transmute a money block, universe always responds. God responds. Your soul responds, because your soul wants to be at that future version of yourself, at that abundant self, at that you deserve everything your heart desires. If you just knew how wealthy you really are, we would let go of this stuff in an instant, right? But your soul will test you because it wants you, like universe wants you to have abundance, wants every human on this planet to have the equal amount of abundance. No one human is better or worse than any other. We are equal, right? So soul will test you, life will test you, and depending on your frequency will depend on how quickly that test comes. For some people, it might be months, right? You might be sitting in lower frequencies. So, that the frequency, the wave, right, of your currency, when you're in lower frequency, the waves are longer. So time is longer. So it may take like a month or two for that inspiration to hit, that download to land, that opportunity to present itself to you. But then because you are in a lower frequency, you've got longer to respond to it because you need longer, right? So life will present this opportunity. Now, for some people who've done a lot of spiritual work, done a lot of healing work, you might do a money clearing, a transmutation process, and it's instant. You literally, like within hours, have an opportunity. Or something happens, right? Something happens. And this is where I see a lot of humans will see negative, like just we catastrophize things, or we see the negative first. And you have to understand that there is no positive and negative. Like in the law of universal balance and harmony, right? We have ebbs and we have flows, right? That's infinity, right? And there is no positive and negative. It all is. And things happen. And people might perceive it to be a negative thing, but actually, it's positive. Actually, it's the opportunity for you to prove your worthiness, to prove your truth, to speak up and say something, or to put a boundary in place, or you have to respond to the universe, because then we start co-creating, right? So after that transmutation process, we're then educating. Right? We're educating ourselves that when these opportunities land, we now have to act differently. We have to do something we haven't done before. We have to do something differently. This is why I say, like, shadow work is so amazing. And the best question is, like, when you're triggered, right? The trigger is the message, right? And the trigger is that opportunity for growth. The trigger is that message, right? So usually that opportunity, when it lands, when it presents after the transmutation process, is perceived negatively, but we see it as a negative. Oh, I'm triggered again, so I'm stuck in the same patterns. And that's why then people revert back to their attachments, and then they go back to the beginning of the cycle, and they're like, I haven't cleared my money blocks, because it keeps happening. It keeps happening. It's still there. It's still there. So this is why I'm like, I see people talking about it, I see these posts, and it's like, babe, it's so easy when you understand the transformational cycle. Once you do that transmutation, you've got this opportunity. You're not repeating old cycles. It's an opportunity. So take that opportunity, re-educate yourself. How can I respond differently? And in that response, we then start to look at energetic value, right? So we look at your energetic value, because we all have an energetic value. We all have a frequency, but our energetic value is different to that, because based on your energy levels, based on your health, based on your leadership abilities, how you show up in relationship, based on your values, your beliefs, based on like who you are as a person, gives off an energetic value to the world, right? So people in like lower frequencies and densities, their energetic value is lower, right? So they're going to get opportunities to increase that energetic value. And it's going to be by not creating drama, not creating controversy, not being the source of problems. Like, you have to actually step into being a better human, like being a human of value. I look back in my own personal journey and I can see how my energetic value to the world has increased immensely. With the more work that you do on yourself and you learn about yourself, you become better for others, better for your children, better for your family, better for your business, right? Because you're not projecting shit and you're not blaming and you're not taking responsibility or accountability. So we've got to learn our energetic values and improve them. So once we then do that, the re-education process is then starting to learn that new behavior, starting to learn how to do things differently, how to manage your team differently, how to talk to clients differently, how to market yourself from truth and speak your voice. Like, there's going to be so many different variations of this. And then once you're re-educating that, you then start to embody it. Right. And when we're going through the transformational cycle, it's not like you do this transformation, you do this transmutation, you start to re-educate yourself and improve your value. It's not going to happen overnight. Right. It takes time. Right. It takes time to really implement these changes. It's not instant. It can be quick, but it's not instant, right? So we have to prove this worth. We have to prove this value. We have to see the worthiness that we are and showcase and express that, right? Just paraphrasing there, over prove. Like, it's not I have to prove myself because I don't feel worthy. It's like, I am fucking worthy and I'm showing the universe this worth that I know to be true. There's a very different energy to that. So once we re-educate, right, and we start doing this new behavior, it becomes like the first or second or third time you do this new behavior, it's not going to be easy. It feels foreign. It feels different. You have to, like, it's like when you're learning to drive a car, you have to consciously think of all the things you've got to do while you're driving. It's the same. An experience is going to happen where, let's just say the block is you shut yourself down and you don't speak your truth, right? So when you're given the opportunity to speak your truth, you're aware this opportunity is happening, but you might shut down again. And that's okay. It doesn't mean you've cycled, but at least you've got the awareness, right? And it'll happen again in another week's time. And you're more aware of it. So in the moment, you might go, oh, this is where I normally shut down. And then, oh, I'm not going to shut down. And like it's like really disjointed, right? Because all these little neural pathways are trying to create and connect and form new patterns and processing functions. So when this trigger or this opportunity or this thing happens, it's okay for you to just say, hang on a second. I'm just having a little bit of a moment. It might be with someone else, or it might be with yourself, right? If it's a money thing, it might be, you've opened your bank balance and you're looking at your account and you've gone into like disarray because this bill has come in, right? So no one else is involved. And you just have to be aware and go, okay, I'm having this response again. I know it's an opportunity. I'm not triggered. My soul is speaking to me. I'm just going to give myself a moment to move through this, because you need this time and this space. If you want to increase your energetic capacity, you have to give yourself the space to do so. So it's going to be really disjointed, but then you're going to go, oh, this is where I would normally shut down and not say something. And my heart is like racing because I know I've got to say something, because if I don't do something different, I'm not going to increase my capacity, my value, my worth. And then you say, hey, there's something I really need to say right now. Is it okay if I say it? Right? So we're not projecting. We're not like, rah, it's just like, hang on a second. Give yourself a bit of grace. Can I just speak to something? And, if someone else is involved, this is where human interaction is really important, and building relationship and nurturing relationship is so important. And as long as you're polite, and as long as you're just like, something's happening, I'm really fucking triggered right now, I don't want to respond out of this triggered, like I need a minute, I need to just process something, I need to get straight, I don't want to be all of this, and I just need to like figure it out, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to talk. And it's not because you need to respond to it a certain way. I have no expectations, but I just need to get it out and just say something differently. And it's just like what you're doing in this is like a pattern interrupt, right? We got to pattern interrupt this stuff to do it differently. It kind of puts a glitch in the matrix, so to speak, right? Because you're doing something different. And it's like, it's weird and it's not normal, but hey, it feels so foreign. But if you do it that first time, you have stepped through that threshold, right? You've moved up the vortex, right? It takes courage to do this, right? Whatever it is, even if no one else is involved and it's something money related, it could be looking at the last month's worth of spendings or going through my business metrics. Like people going through my business metrics, they absolutely go through this threshold. Some make it to the other side, others don't. Either way, it doesn't matter. Like the opportunity is there to move beyond it, but it takes courage to do it. Once you then do that, you have a reference point. You now have a reference point in the here and now of something different, your reality being different. Now, it might not be the reality that we're manifesting, right? Because you just don't go from fear to love in one foul swoop, right? But it happens like incrementally. So your ability to move through these spaces and transform your actual behavior, your doing, this is where the gold is. Once you then do that this is the process of embodiment. We're looking at our behavior, we're learning new behavior and doing things differently. And that's really hard for some people because they're so used to doing things a certain way that doing it a different way is hard. It's hard work. It is absolutely hard work. But that's why, like, people who manifest the life of their desires, they've been through the fire, right? They've walked that. They've had the courage. They've looked at their shit and now they're on the other side and they're reaping the benefits. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Not everybody does it, not to this level, right? So then what happens is the opportunities will present again and again. And 3, 4, 5 times it might take you. Hell, man, when it came to me speaking my truth and like showing up in relationship different, I fucked up that many times you wouldn't believe. But I always held grace for myself in that. And I always allowed myself to move. And I learned every single time. I learned. And then I took that lesson and I turned it into a new behavior and embodied that new behavior. And then things changed. Things always changed. So when you then reach the life that you desire, that's the alchemy, right? Whether it's the money in the bank account, the relationships of your dreams, the body of your dreams, the health and wellness that you always desired, the, moving into different professions, whatever it is, right? There's always a transformational cycle that is attached to that. And it's you stepping into your energetic value. It's you improving your energetic value. It's you expanding your energetic capacity, right? And it's looking at these blocks being attached and non-attached at the same time, not being fragmented from past, present, future, coming into the now, right here and now. What's happening in your reality now? Because all that matters is now. All that matters is now. And abundance is not money in the bank. Sure, money in the bank is wonderful. People say, money doesn't change who you are. Money does not change who you are. There are people out there that are good, that have lots of money, and there are people out there that are evil, that have lots of money. Money is not energy, it's dead, right? We don't have to talk to money. We don't have to talk to, affirm and put it outside of ourselves. Like, the energetic value is you. Talk to you. You are the currency, right? So when we move into the space of goodness and humanitarian and being a leader, a light leader, a light worker, like all these buzzwords that these coaches like to throw around. And yes, personal development is massively a huge part of this, but it's like, what are we creating? Right? By stepping into these leadership, stepping into the light workers, the light leaders, the alchemists, doing all of this work, you're stepping into the next level of humanity that is good, right? So my belief is that imagine what humanity would be like if all these really good people had a fuck ton of cash. We would dismantle the systems and every fucking sector of the economy that is broken very quickly. Very quickly. But, I look at the economy and what's happening and I keep my finger on the pulse and things are moving. Things are moving, things are changing, things are shifting, and it's wonderful, right? But it's not happening quick enough. And what it needs to be is that we step into the leader that we want to be for this world, the leader that we want to be for this humanity and the changes that we want to see. And we look at our money and we look at our capacity, we look at so that we can make more, so that we can use those resources to fucking fast track this change. And I love this work so much, but I don't talk about it enough. I don't, it's like, this is what the Visionary Mastermind is for, but I still see people cycling these money patterns and these money behaviors and these money problems. And it's still about the self and the this and the me and the ancestors and the my energy and my bank account. I get it. We're all very egocentric. But we need to detach a little bit, because what is this money for? What is it for? Because I know when I create money, it's not for me. It's not like, sure, I'm individualism. I'm totally provided for. My family is provided for. But everything that we create goes back into community, because the resources that I am building is used to change this fucking economy at the rate at which I can't control. But, you know, you can't make changes, these kinds of changes, without the financial backing. We need the resources. So this is where I want to activate people into their mission, into their legacy, into the humanitarian work. Get out of your own way. What are you here for? And I even have seen in my own journey the evolution of that. And trust me when I say, like, there is a huge wave of resources coming to this planet. And whether it is we're having a redistribution of the wealth at the moment, and we're seeing in the economy that the currency is shifting out of fiat government-backed notes and more into decentralized spaces. But what people need to realize is that the growth of this wealth is actually linked to your energetic capacities, right? And your ability to learn and shift and the purpose that it is for. In order to step into this new wealth, people actually have to let go of money completely, because money is attached to government systems and the government systems are crumbling, and that money is not going to be here. Now, so many people rely on fiat currency, so it's not going to be a massive shift that happens straight away, but people are starting to see, like, literally I went down to the IGA the other day and they've now got a Bitcoin machine in the IGA. Right now, there's so much in the Bitcoin decentralized space. This is not a one size fits all approach. Okay. There is not a one way. This is what sovereignty is all about. Right. And your abundance and your prosperity is not linked to dollars in the bank. And it's not linked to how much Bitcoin you have. And it's not linked to how much gold or silver you've got in storage. Right. Your value is linked to all of those things and more. Right. Your energetic value is linked to your ability to be resourceful, right? To be resourceful, right? Your energetic value is also linked to your community, right? Are you in communities? Because I will tell you what I see in my community and all of the people coming together. We have got so many amazing things. I wish they would talk to each other more, because when they form these connections and start having these conversations, the opportunities that then present out of those conversations then create more abundance within the community, right? We got groups of sparkies that if they all came together and they spoke and they talked about things, they could probably invent something that doesn't exist, right? We've got these construction guys that could probably put together some community groups to shape up the construction industry and do things differently, or teach the younger guys and the younger generation different trades that are needed, right? In a way, because like even that industry is, and then we've got so much abundance in the health space and the wellness space. So I see the abundance is not just resources, what we physically have, but it's what we know as well. Like our intellectual property in our minds, in our heads, like through our life experience, all of our skills, all of the things that we learn. Like when we all put these heads together and we start having these conversations, these opportunities just start blooming, right? And it's like things that weren't happening start to happen through these connections and conversations. So community is such a massive part of your energetic value. So when I look at my energetic value and capacity, and I'm like, holy shit, man. Like you look at my bank account and it's no different to what it always is. Like I just, because I'm not attached to money, I just don't, like, I'm provided for, but I just put money back into community. And I see my abundance is just like, if I want to make a decision for the community and create something, like, investing in a wellness center popping up, I can just make that decision and do that, or helping helping someone's project come to life because I believe in it too and I want it to come alive. So I'm going to invest in that and build these resources, right? So these things actually happen. And then it's like, I think I look at the community and I'm like, there's so much fucking value in there. I think it's important because I'm trying to express how the community is so valuable. And I see the value of the knowledge base of people in these different industries within the community. So like if I wanted to move away from mainstream, you know, fruit and vegetables, right? And I wanted to start growing my own crops. I know that there's people in my community that can teach me how to do that. And then if I learn how to grow my own crops, then I've increased my energetic value. I now know how to grow crops. I can then feed my family, right? So it always has a byproduct. So I guess it's not the money in your bank account. Like there's so much other resources out there that you have access to that I think people are just not even taking those opportunities, right? Not even utilizing those opportunities. So I was speaking to that client the other day and I was like, man, you have so much knowledge. And, we could literally create little mini farms in suburbia, or you could have a service where you, in your area, go and create the crop, like go and create the backyard garden, or you don't even need much space. And then you hire people to go out and maintain it so people have their food. Because, not everyone knows how to do gardening. Not everyone knows how to grow food. But if all the people who did know that then created something where they could share that education and then they could help and support, like everyone's complaining that AI is going to take up all of these jobs, but they don't realize that if AI does all of those jobs, we can then do other things. And those other things that we do can actually serve humanity at greater levels. So yeah, like it's just, there's so much abundance and value out there that people don't see because they're attached to money. And they're attached to their money stories and their ancestral lines and their energy being money. And it's like, no, not even close. Not even close. It's happening already right now. It's happening already right now. Like it's not something in the future that's not here yet. It's already happening. And I guess when people, again, right? So your attention is a value as well. Where are you focusing your attention? So if you're focusing on CBDCs and the government is shit and we're all going to be like controlled and put into 15-minute cities and put microchips in the back of our necks and all that sort of shit. If your energy is literally focused, if your attention is focused on that, you're siphoning energy out to that. So you're literally willing that to happen, right? So let's look at this as an example, right? COVID. Let's talk about COVID. I don't know about anyone else, but there were some people who were so in the thick of COVID and all the like shit fuckery of it and the doom and gloom of it and the like, I get it, especially in Melbourne, right? And I get it because it's your reality, because this is happening. It's in your physical reality and it's very, but I don't know, like if you went to other spaces, right? You went to different households, like you went to Burleigh, right? We went to Burleigh during the height of COVID. Everyone's walking around like nothing's happening, right? And I put this to like attention and focus. Right now, we can't blindly ignore something, right? So I wasn't walking around like blindly ignoring the fact that this was happening. But was I letting it dictate and control me? No, I still lived my life. I still lived my life, right? And it was like, I know a lot of people have like PTSD from COVID, and I even came out of that experience. People's social skills shifted, and people really retracted and retreated. But again, it's like your attention, right? So if your attention is focused on doom and gloom, and the sky is falling, and CBDCs and 15-minute cities, and like I do see we've already split and fragmented, right? And when they say there's going to be parallel universes, like it's already here, right? There's people who live in different vibrations, in different densities, in different frequencies, and you've got people who are stuck in this space, and it's all doom and gloom and CBDCs and control and manipulation and all of that stuff. And it's like, that's your reality. But just because that's your reality doesn't mean that the people over here are experiencing something different. Whilst there might be 15-minute cities, if you're choosing to live there, then that's your choice, right? I'm sure that there's going to be different choices that are available that people who live there don't see that as a potentiality. Just like the people didn't believe that they actually had a choice, right? It always comes back. This is what it comes back to, the choices that you're making. What is your soul asking you to do? What choices are you making based on your energetic frequencies and your currencies? So a lot of people feel like they don't have a choice, right? This is the outsourcing of their power. I don't have a choice. This just is, and I'm a victim to my circumstance and my reality, right? You're the player in the game. You're the character in the game. You have no controls. You're getting played, right? But then over here, it's the opposite end. It's like you're not the character. You're not playing the game. You're fucking the creator. So you're going to choose what reality you want to live. And then you're going to make every single decision based on that reality as if you're already living it until it's there, because that is your reality. And yeah, I just love this stuff. I really, really, really do love this stuff. But, I love to dive deep with people on their money stuff. It's very nuanced. It's not a one size fits all approach. And yeah, the business metrics is the physicality, right? That's the education piece. Like, let's re-educate how you're redistributing your resources, right? Because we can put some parameters around that, and it can be very simple. Don't listen to your accountants. Don't listen to what they tell you about budgets and profit and loss and balance sheet. Like, throw that in the bin. You don't need it. But yeah, it's sometimes we need that physical money management to really help you get out of some of those situations. But it's always going to come back to the decisions that you're making around your money. So I want to leave you with that today. Like, if you could write a list of the decisions that you've been making about money, decisions you've been making about spending money, decisions you've been making about making money. What money decisions are you making? Like, you just need awareness around it first. Awareness is the first step. And if you want to transform those steps and transmute those decisions and increase your energetic value and capacity and really step into who you're meant to be, you're going to have to start making some different decisions.